what's up, everybody? I'm Skull.
I'm Zombie Cat.
And this is the Horror Den. Welcome to 2025. Woo! Happy New Year, everybody. This should be coming out the week after the New Year.
Yep.
But today we are going to be covering part 3 and the finale of Storm of the Century. Today we will be giving our final scoring, as well as doing a total synopsis of the final third episode, and just kind of having a brief or maybe long discussion about our feelings about the movie as a whole, or the miniseries as a whole. And yeah, so like always, spoilers ahead. Smite Lad, take it away.
By the power of the Horror Den, I have the
Okay, so let's see. We start out and we pick up pretty much straight where we left off, like always. There's a recap, and then it left off in episode 2 with Ralphie going into the closet, hearing Lenoja's voice, and Mike is out with a lot of people in the town. They're like gathering board games, milk, food, stuff like that. And at this point, there's like a panic going on because they can't find Ralphie at the church or church court. I can't remember what we decided
Whatever
to call
the town hall is.
Yeah, that's what we just said. We're calling it town hall. So they realize they can't find Ralphie because they thought he went upstairs with Donnie to get a donut, but no, they can't find him anywhere. So Molly is freaking out, and she runs downstairs and she hears Ralphie, but it's kind of a creepy voice coming from the other side of the
Mom,
door.
I'm in here.
Yeah, it sounds a little sus, but she opens up the door, and it's just Ralphie. He's just standing there like, hey, pretty much. Hey, must be the money.
If you want to go and take a round.
And after that, essentially, he's saying that the man was in here with me, the good man. He's not a bad man like y'all keep saying, and he even gave me a present. And they're all like freaking out, and they're like, that dude was in there with that kid alone, and who knows what he was saying, and he's not there anymore. So
yeah, he gives him like, it's not a Crown Royal bag, but it looks like a Crown Royal bag. An old like gray sack with a drawstring that pulls up.
And they're hesitant to open it, and she's like, that dude's touched my kid freaking twice now. She's like, I'm opening this thing to figure out what it is. She opens it up to just find that it's these marble-ish rocks. They're white and one black one. And at this point,
but also Ralphie was told that this was a gift for the entire town.
Yes.
By Mr. Lenoge.
And at this point, we are finally hitting our conclusion, I suppose. Outside, I can't remember his name, but he's looking for his wife, Angie Hatch, and his partner. They're out there just blasting the horn, trying to find the people that were taken away at the lighthouse scene when the lighthouse was about to be knocked over. And they find a body. I can't remember whose body they find.
It was some woman.
Yeah, it was just one of the people that got snatched. But they find Angie, and she is like frostbittenly white. Her hair is like, it looks like if you just bent it to go.
Yeah. The dead body in the snow also had a damp letter that had, give me what I want and I will leave.
Yep. And then Angie essentially just starts ranting about like, we have to give him what he wants. Like, we don't know what she's seen just yet, but she's kind of giving you a breakdown. She was like, I was watching the lighthouse, I got sucked backwards, and I looked up and I saw this devil essentially just smiling at me, and she said she fainted for the first time in her life. And she was like, I'm freezing here. I don't know why they weren't like, let's get you inside.
She woke up and they were flying.
Yeah, she was flying.
With her on the left and the other guy that got snatched up by Linoge on the right, and they were flying above in the sky, and it was the day after the storm, and it was sunny and warm, but there was police all over the place, and that everyone had disappeared. And basically she lets them know that Linoge told her that they're going to have a town meeting.
Yep, at 9 p.m.
Then we cut to a scene where one of the other ladies, I forget who she's I think she's the old lady that died in the previous episode, her daughter, maybe. But anyway, she's in this like storage room looking for like candles, and because they're putting the power's out, so they're putting out these old like oil lanterns on like shelves and stuff for light and warmth, I guess. She's there to get candles. Linoge is there. It kind of scares her and was like, "You were happy to see that old bat die, weren't you? You were worried on the outside, but on the inside, you were doing a jig." Like,
yeah. And also going on, Mike is on his way home with a group of people. And I really love this story that he tells that he just makes up on the spot, of course, because this whole show he's been talking about like Bible verses that could explain maybe what's going on with like Legion and stuff like that, like we figured out in the last episode. And this time around, he starts telling the story of Job, and is that a real?
Yeah. Job is a real story in the Bible.
Okay, but it's essentially, I don't know if he's just adding on like fake stuff to it, and he's just like,
it's more like he's adding to it. He basically essentially says that after the devil and God compete for Job's soul and God wins, that Job falls to his knees and says, you know, "God, as your eternal servant, I only have one question of you, and that is, why me?" And he said, "Why did you kill my wife? Why did you do all this bad stuff?
I've had 100 diseases. I've had just hell, essentially. His life has been misery." He's like, "I guess there's just something about you that pisses me off." And I was like, that feels so relatable to so many people, I'm sure. There's just something about you that pisses me off.
Which, that joke comes up a few times. So it's pretty funny whenever, well, he doesn't say it in funny moments, but it's like, it's a nice kind of callback to a joke. Well, yeah, a joke is a loose term here.
Yeah. He's more so doing it in the spur of like, this sucks. But it's like,
yeah, I think it's more of like, you know, I think it could be taken in the way of like, you really did mean that, you know, sometimes I guess people just piss God off, you know, and so they get the shit into the stick. Or it could be a reference to, it's like, you're not the center of the universe.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, not everything that happens has to do with you necessarily.
And at this point, we find, I can't remember the girl's name who killed her boyfriend in episode 2.
I don't remember her name either. We're terrible with names if you haven't.
Well, I don't think it's that. I mean, we are, but there's so many names. But
we have a whole town full of people to remember.
Yeah. So, editor, just throw it in. Just throw her name in. I can't remember. It's something simple too. I remembered it perfectly last time, but she's completely kind of gotten herself straightened up. Like, she's like, "I'm okay now," and you know, she's like reading books to the kids and playing with them, when all of a sudden they stand up and start singing "I'm a Little Teapot," and she's like, "I guess
doing
we're
the little motions too."
Yeah, everyone's like, "What's going on?" And they're like, "I guess we're singing." And
when the song's over, the creepiest part is they just start standing there staring at them, and they're just like,
yeah, they're literally just standing and just staring into an abyss from what we see at the moment.
hold up, there's something we missed. The lady who gets surprised by Linoge, when Mike and Hatch get there, they go to the storage room to help her, and she is levitating off the ground with 2 lit candles, and Linoge basically corners them, and it's just like, you know, do you do as I say, or you're gonna watch her melt her face. Pretty much.
You're gonna turn into the biggest birthday cake you've ever seen.
Yeah, birthday candle. And they come in, and basically Linoge threatens them and is like, everybody's going to be there at the town hall tonight at 9 p.m. sharp. Be there or be square, practically. And then he disappears into the snow, and then the candles go out, and she stops levitating, and she's freaking out.
Yeah, she's
obviously.
like, I never want to see that man again. He is the devil, essentially.
Then the stuff with the kid happens, and then also like they're all standing there, and they start seeing the cane sitting there in front of the fireplace, and it looks like a sad little puppy dog, like, come pet me.
Yeah.
And so they start fighting against their parents to go touch the cane, and when they do, they pass out and go unconscious.
They're not dead or anything. Like, they're lifting their eyes, they're responding to light, they're breathing. And around this time, Mike is down there with everybody. And they all group up in, it's like a church almost, like a small church, like just the perfect rows of seats and stuff like that.
It's a town hall.
Yeah.
It's like for a town hall meeting.
Town hall meeting, yeah. And this is kind of the first moment they're all just kind of sitting there quiet, like, well, I guess we're just waiting at this point. And the town mayor, he essentially is like
Town manager. This asshole doesn't deserve that credit.
He's kind of just standing up, and he's like, well, we don't really know what we're in for and stuff like that. And he's like, we'll get through this.
Somebody's like, sit down and shut up.
Pretty much, yeah.
Wait like the rest of us.
And he pretty much does, but at first he does. At this point, I feel like he's kind of redeeming himself just a sliver. He's like trying to be like,
Nah, I got some opinions.
I'm just saying, like, right now he's just being like,
okay, yes, he's being very passive and being very.
It's because he's gotten shut up. That's the reason why.
We're all in this together. Remember?
Yeah, he's like, we're gonna get through this as a town.
I got some feelings about this town.
And here comes Linoge in this amazing shot of the doors just.
As the clock strikes the final bell of 9.
Yeah, and he starts walking down the aisles and once again tearing people a new one. I can't remember the first guy's.
I can't either.
It was pretty bad. I can't. He was stealing money.
Yeah. He was talking. It was the kid. It was a kid.
Davey.
First. Yeah, and he was like, oh, come on. I can't remember what the kid did, but he was like, your father's a thief. He stole like $14,000 from his company, and he gambles with it, and he loses.
Yeah.
And then he goes to the same.
And he's like, it's not true. It's not true. And he's saying he doubled it. You know what I mean? Because it's like the typical lying, like you say it multiple times. It's like, and then he moves up to the next person, and it is.
I think it's the same. It's the guy that beat up the guy, and now he has an eye patch. And
Yes.
he repeats that, and he's like, you should go pay him a visit. What do you want to do to this other dude? And he's like, you want to go finish the job? Ha. And then I think at this point, no, he goes up one more, right? No, it's just those two. And then he switches his focus to the town manager again. And the town manager, is seeing his mother walk with the cane, but everybody else is seeing
very
Linoge.
creepy.
And that goes through the whole spiel of like, do you want to tell everybody where you were when I died? And it would be very interesting for your wife to know. And she's like, I'm going to eat your eyes out one by one. And he's like on the floor groveling, and Linoge turns to everybody. It's like, it's nice to see him in a corner, all quiet, isn't it?
Yes.
That's okay. Tell the truth. Speak up. And then somebody's like, what do you want? Like from the Grinch. And essentially, here's what happens. In the long and short of it, Linoge goes on to explain that he is, without saying it, of course, Legion, but he is an entity that is not a deity or immortal, but he is thousands and thousands of years old. That he is old, dying actually, but he will still live longer than everybody in this room. And since he is going to die, he wants a child to take his place as his protege.
Yep. And that's what he has been wanting. And it's like, Skull was asking me, it's like, why did he kill all the people? That I was like, I think it's just to send a message being like, I mean business,
Right. It's a display of power.
Yeah.
But of course the town goes into a little bit of a tizzy, and he's basically like, you have 30 minutes to decide, and then disappears.
He's also kind of like playing the nice guy. He's like, oh, I'm not killing them or anything. I'm just, they're going to be my protege. They'll live thousands upon thousands of years. So it's like, and then I believe this is also the moment he shows them what's happening to all the kids who fainted downstairs, and they all look out the window, and he's holding them both as Angie described in both arms, and he was showing them how easily he can just drop them to their death, essentially, which is super dark.
But he says you have 30 minutes to discuss amongst yourselves. He leaves, and then everyone in the town kind of goes into this tizzy of like, are we going to do this? Mike Anderson, he's the only voice of reason. He's like shouting at these people that we cannot give up our children. And, you know, even the pastor's against him. And
he's quoting back something at him, a Bible quote.
Yeah, that Mike said earlier. And then Mike hits him back with another one that's like, we're still in the wrong here for this majority thinking.
Everyone is like, we have to do this. You know, it's better.
Including Mike's wife.
Yeah, she gets up and she is 100% in support of doing what Linoge wants. Of course, Linoge saying, if you don't give me the kid, I'm not leaving, and you're going to end up just like the village that I tore apart last time, essentially. Yes. And he's going to drop all their kids, and they're going to be dead, and then y'all are going to walk into the ocean 2 by 2.
Yeah. So just, I hate to gloss over this. There's like, but in terms of like bullet points, there's not much to tell you. When it comes to this courtroom scene, it's the majority of the episode, but also it is probably one of the most powerful scenes I've seen in quite a while.
It's haunting because it's like, I'm not a dad, but it's like, it makes you feel sick almost. I'm not even a parent, and I know how sick it makes me feel. And it's like,
I'm unsure if you're familiar with this. I know that most people had to read it in high school, and I was in the production of it. But this section reminds me a lot of The Crucible.
I would know the name. That's it.
Well, it's about the Salem witch trials, but I mean, it's not the exact same situation. But it's like they're in a courtroom, kind of, and like it's a bunch of town people like against each other, practically. It's very much that nature. And then like Mike Anderson is kind of like John Proctor, but John Proctor has sinned, and he's trying to plead his case and plead the innocence of everyone and prove that these girls are telling lies, while he is trying to make them see reason, like Mike is, and nobody's wanting to see. And
it's, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. But anyway, so they take it to a vote, and everyone, including Mike's wife, vote for giving him a child. And this happens after Mike even says to everybody that my son is not a part of this. And then his wife comes up and says, yes, he is, because we have not shirked on our duty before, and we're not doing it now, causing some friction. He gets hit by he tries to like take his son and leave, and like he gets ambushed by all the dudes.
Yeah, and it's just so terrible because he's like, how are you gonna live with yourselves, essentially? It's like, just the thought of going through with this is so awful. And it's like, his plan is for everyone to stand together against Linoge and just say, no, you aren't taking one of our kids, essentially. And of course it is like, on paper, it's like he takes one kid, he gets to live, whatever, and we all get to live, and he leaves us alone. But on the other end, it's like, it's a kid. You know?
Yeah, I mean, you know, Zombie Cat asked me because I'm a little more knowledgeable about Bible stuff, if this was like a play on a Bible story, which actually DMAC might know. You know, because Legion is wanting a child, and he's basically testing all of these people if they're willing to give up a child, which is like the most innocent form of life as seen in the Bible and in life, actually. And so like, I don't know if it's a play on anything. Maybe somebody in the comments can let us know if there's more to this that we don't know.
It just feels like it's a darker twist on something that I would hear from, like,
I mean, I did get a slight undertone of like, if there is a biblical sense to this exactly, because this is a biblical character, but like an antagonist wise, but there's a shot where all the moms are holding their sleeping kids like later on, and it's very much like, I don't even know if this is a Bible quote, but it's like, mother is the word on the lips and hearts of every child. Like, it's from The Crow, but it's like, that's what that scene made me think of. And I'm just like, the idea that, you know what, that any of these mothers would be okay with their child being taken is like the utmost form of betrayal.
But once again, in their eyes, it's like, it's either that or they all die.
It's one for the sake of many. It's that whole concept.
But at the same time, what if he's bluffing? It's like we know he has power. He has extreme power, but what if this is all a ruse to test the town, like their weaknesses? That's why he came to this town, is the secrets and just how kind of crummy they are essentially under the surface. And Molly stands up and she's like, yeah, my kid's gonna be a part of this.
And so they take it to a vote, and of course everyone but Mike votes in favor. Mike is pissed at this point, and so 30 minutes go by, and Leno shows back up and is like, have you reached your decision? They say yes, and he's like, you've made the right choice, even though Mike is trying to tell you otherwise. He calls one of each parental group up to the stage, and then the bag full of the marbles comes out again. And he says that these are weirding stones and that they were old when the world was young.
They were around before like Atlantis plummeted.
Yes, sunk into the African Ocean, which that's cool. But he says like they're gonna draw one independently, hide it, and not show it, and then whoever has the black one, that's the child he will take. And so we go down the line of a bunch of whites down until it's Hatch's wife and Mike's wife, and they both reveal at the same time, and it's Mike's kid.
Of course.
Of course. I saw it coming a mile away.
But throughout though, like, to some of the parents' defense, they were like, I don't want to do it anymore. They changed their mind in the moment.
Too little too late, my man.
Yeah, it's like, at least there was a little bit of them that was like,
okay, no.
It was pretty cool when Lenoge, that one lady, was like, no, I'm not doing it anymore, and she just tries to walk off, and he like freezes her.
He forces her to drop it.
That was pretty cool.
I don't think that they were changing their mind because of, this whole thing is a bad idea. It's because there were more and more people.
They were like, I don't
like, there was less marbles, so that means that they're more likely for their kid to be taken.
It's like Russian
roulette. Of course they're all of a sudden regretful now that like they're not guaranteed a white marble.
That's true. That is very true.
It has nothing. It's self-preservation at that point. Like that's what they're prioritizing. Anyway, we'll get more into my opinion about these fucking people in just a little bit. But anyway, so
essentially,
it's Ralphie.
It's Ralphie that he's going to take.
Mike, of course, puts up a fight, is held back and held down to like on the ground. And she's screaming at Lenoge, who reveals his true form as this old mage-like wizard.
Yeah, now Molly's completely,
No, you tricked us. You knew.
Like, how did he trick you? He literally straight up told you what he was going to do.
He said, Molly, you knew the terms of this agreement when you agreed to it. And so he throws her against the wall when she tries to attack him. He goes and collects Ralphie.
Oh, and also at this point, he's completely in his full form.
Yeah, that's
now.
why I said like the old
pretty
mage.
Cool. Like his beanie dissolves into his gray hair. It's pretty neat. And
he almost looks like an elf.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a funny side little bit, but you remember in The Princess Bride when they go to get him revived by that dude? He looks like that dude.
Yeah.
Bye-bye, boys.
Have fun storming the castle.
Think it'll work?
It would take a miracle. Bye-bye.
But
he goes and he collects Ralphie, and he walks out of the church into the snow, and then starts to fly.
Yeah, just flies away.
And Mike breaks free and he's like, don't touch me. Don't any of you ever touch me again. And he walks outside and he's like screaming for Ralphie, like, please bring him back. He collapses into the snow and he's just like, I'll do anything. Just bring him back. And the scene fades to black. And
the first thing we see is 5 months later, and it's Molly inside of a therapist's office. And Linoge also, before leaving, was like, it'd be better y'all keep this one of your secrets, essentially.
You'll live a much happier life if you don't.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't talk about it.
So, of course, we're already seeing the side effects of this, and Molly is in a therapist's office with bloodshot eyes. Like, who knows how much she's cried. Her eyes are like freaking glowing red. And she's talking about how Mike wants to leave her. There's pretty much no saving the marriage. They haven't even slept in the same bed since the storm. And she is repeating like what happened to Ralphie, but of course she's changing the story, and he got lost into the storm.
We see Mike standing outside of his home as Hatch comes up to try to talk to him. Mike wants no part of it, tells him he's leaving on the next ferry. He leaves and tells him to watch after Molly while he's gone. He gets on the ferry, leaves, and once he hits the mainland, he keeps driving all the way to San Francisco.
Yeah.
Where he finally settles. He becomes a police officer, or he gets his, like, he goes to his police academy. He basically becomes a federal marshal. Meanwhile, Hatch's wife gets addicted to basically, like,
Hatch said, if it makes you feel better, I haven't been able to sleep well in 5 months. And he's like, well, at least you have a daughter that you can go watch sleep at night. So it's like, man.
Well,
and you're starting to learn all of these horrible things that are coming from them making this decision, essentially.
Hatch ends up getting married to Molly, and they're happily ever after. Anyway, then we see the guy that, you know, periodically got thrown in the face of, like, he beat up a gay guy. Anyway, he went through a divorce 2 months after that wedding, and he goes to a motel room on the mainland to off himself. Basically, like everybody else, there's like a lot of tragedy surrounding a lot of the people. Like, one person got in a boat and rowed away, and then, like, the boat washed up with croton on the wood. Like, okay, anyway, but we'll stop. I'll get to my opinion in a minute. We cut back to Mike, who is still in San Francisco, and he's like, you know, I thought I learned this lesson during the big storm, the storm of the century, but actually I just learned it a week ago. And he's like taking some Chinese takeout to his car, and he sees this old man walking with a cane and a younger boy next to him, and they're both humming "I'm a Little Teapot." And he looks and he realizes who they are, and he shouts Ralphie, and they both turn around, and it's an older Linoge, even older than before. And we see an older Ralphie, and he shows his demonic teeth and hisses. Eyes. And then they turn and they walk away, and he follows them before losing them down an alley. He basically has a small monologue where it's basically like, you know, he still keeps in touch, and the people on the island are still keeping their secrets. And that's the end. I just want to say these people.
Yeah.
Absolutely every single one of them.
They're all really bad. Like, Mike, I feel like is supposed to be like the symbol of, like, just the worst that Linoge ever calls him out on was cheating on, like, a college thing. It's like, that's not even that big of a deal, you know. He cheated on some big test. That was about it.
You know, okay, we're talking about Bible stories, right? This kind of reminds me of the story of Abraham and Isaac.
Okay.
Where God told him to sacrifice his son to prove his servancy to God, basically his faith. And God stops him when he's about to sacrifice his son, and God stops him and says that, he just wanted to know that he would be willing to do it, right? Basically. It's kind of like a play on that, I feel like, where it's not so much that Mike intentionally sacrificed his son to Linoge, it's more like the people around. He allowed his son to be treated as a sacrifice. And so, number one, I just want to say everyone got punished for it.
Oh, yeah, they're miserable. All of them are miserable for doing so.
Just these people.
Language.
Like, I really don't like, okay, number one, they're all great characters. That's why we're like,
yeah, that's...
because we get attached to this story and we actually like root for these people just for them to shit on us. Yeah. And we're just disappointed because that's really what would happen. Let's be honest. Self-preservation is a real thing. We've covered it multiple times in this channel where it's like people make a choice. It's not necessarily the right or the wrong choice, but it's not a good one,
Yeah. And their consequences are like, what if we did stand up to him, and what if he would have left and saw that we weren't weak? And it's you'll
never know. Also another thing I want to say is the fact that Hatch and Molly got married. Kiss my ass, like both of you.
At least Mike was like, I genuinely.
I don't care if his feelings are hurt or not. That is bro code 101. Are you fucking kidding me?
No one else is going to deal with the fact that Cap just said language.
Granted, Mike wanted nothing to do with that woman, so I
know,
guess he's
but
genuinely I
don't know. I think that's a line, and it got crossed major. Like,
I feel like probably his only contact in Little Tall is probably Ursula, who just sends him.
Which, by the way, that bitch turned on Mike too. Like her too. I'm sorry. There is no redeeming quality about any of the side characters. In my honest opinion, they can all.
Yeah.
That's just my personal opinion. Now,
granted, now their life is worse than it probably would have been if Linoge did do what he did. They probably, they'd be dead, but now they're living a life that's probably worse than that. And even now they're all addicted to drugs. They die in other ways. They're taking their own lives. And
I just want to say Mike is a much better man than I am, because if Hatch would have come up and tried to talk me out of leaving, I would have laid his ass out. I would have. And then also,
I hate it too, because Hatch is like the sweet one throughout the show. It's like,
don't care anymore. And also, like, I wouldn't have any correspondent with any of these motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Like, them, that island, let it sink into the ocean.
Yeah.
Like, that's just, maybe I'm a little too brutal, but like, I can't imagine the anger and the pain that Mike is going through on a daily basis, even when he's okay. Like, I don't think that I could ever look at any of those people in the eye again. I think that I would wish death upon them.
Yeah.
Like, that's just, I hate to be so brutal about it, but he honestly...
But I think him as a person, being a good person, he's like, what happens. I'm happy for him if they made it, whatever, It's like, I'm doing my own thing now. I want nothing to do with them, and I just keep in touch. That's it.
Damn, I just hold grudges. I hold grudges way too bad for that. Like, that's way too... That is like... When people toss around the word being a Christian, that's what I think of. Being able to forgive that. No, I'm not there yet.
Yeah. But yeah, that's essentially the wrap. The villain won. Linoge won. And
this is the first villain victory that we've covered on the channel.
Butterfly kisses.
Oh, well, yeah. That is technically true. Yeah, so I guess the second or the third.
There's probably another one.
Well, who cares? But it's yeah. He escapes. But he doesn't meet his requirement. He doesn't kill everybody.
Yeah.
this is the first like definitive like we didn't know whether or not, like it's not, well, Linoge is an unstoppable force, but in the way like Peeping Tom won, I feel like that was kind of like it's a supernatural like loophole.
Yeah,
while
or
this
like
one
the
it
smile
felt
demon.
This felt more like grounded. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Where it's like, yeah, it's biblical and yeah, it's out there, but it's almost like he even said he's not immortal. So what just would have happened if he would have, like, we at any moment, maybe I thought Mike might have was going to kill him at one point, but that didn't happen.
He did catch a bullet earlier in the show, so
Yeah, that is true. I forgot about that. But anyway, so without further ado, let's get into our scoring. So like always, we start off with story. What do you think, Zombie Cat?
it's great. It's a simple concept that's just like something you would see in the Twilight Zone almost, but I'd give it an 8 because it's just so good. It's so well executed. Once again, cliches are cliches for a reason, and if they're done right, it's great. This town of many secrets, it's all cherry blossoms on top, and then you dig deep and it's very bad.
I forget what kind of flower it is that grows from like shit, like horrible stuff, but a beautiful flower grows. I think it's an orchid. I'm not sure though. I don't really have much else to add to that, so I agree. I think that the story is an 8. So that's an 8 overall for story. Moving on to characters. Now, I feel like compared to a lot of the other movies that we've watched, the characters are a lot more important in this. There's a lot of dialogue, and there's a lot of scenes with a lot of different characters.
And they're all
unique.
Damn good.
So I think for that reason, just because like, also, if you saw how heated I got, this justifies the choice I'm making. I'm giving the characters a 9.
Yeah, same here.
Because you get so invested in, you may not remember their names like we do, like we forgot.
Plus, we did watch it in gaps.
Yeah, it's been a crazy holiday season. But I have to say, like, you get invested in the story and you do cheer for these people and you want them to come out on top. And then just to watch them all just evolve into their most primitive form with no concept of reason or like willingness to take a leap of faith, it's just like, no. And they all turn on they turned on Mike.
Right.
Like, fuck you. Like, I cannot, like, that hurts.
He was literally there for all of them so much, and that's how you repay this man.
So that's a 9 for characters.
Yeah, 9 for me too, just because they genuinely handle so many characters and they're all so well fleshed out.
And also, like, everybody gets a little bit of a spotlight, but it doesn't feel like it takes away from the story as a whole. I mean, I guess that's the benefit of, like, number 1, if this was a full-length movie, number 1, how long it is. Number 2, the pacing was beautiful. And number 3, I think that the lending to a miniseries actually works for this story. Yeah. Because having it, I can imagine, being around when this was airing and being like, oh, I can't wait till next week.
I can see that, I would have been on the edge of my seat waiting.
Yeah, that would have been really cool. But all right, we're going to move on to antagonist. And obviously, the antagonist here is Legion, or Andre Linoge. I don't give this out lightly, but I'm giving him a 10.
Yeah. God. Yeah, I mean, I can't think of why I wouldn't give him a 10. I was going to teeter on a 9 just because, I don't know. That's the reason why. I'm like, he's genuinely just so sinister, but at the same time, just haunting. Whenever he's on screen, you are glued to the screen. He's captivating. He's scary as hell. And just watching him tear people a new one is awesome.
This is probably my favorite execution of an angel or demon coming to Earth and interacting with humans.
And it's so simple too. He's literally just, he's knocking off a few people here and there, but
it's a lot of like mysticism, a lot of dreams, a lot of, magical stuff like blowing out candles and a lot of levitating people. And like, he is just, number 1, the actor did phenomenal. He whenever he was on screen, especially when you started to realize like who he was, you actually started to be a little worried for the characters that are in the scene with him because he can kill them. like so easily.
Yeah.
It's like there was another villain that was very similar to that. Oh, it's a lot like Homelander in The Boys.
God, yeah.
Anytime he's in the scene with another character, you have this slight fear for that character's life. It's the same concept here. I feel like this one is a lot more of a subtle approach compared to The Boys being very in your face about it. Because we never really fully understand everything that Linoge can do. And I feel like there's more tricks in the bag that we didn't see.
Oh, absolutely.
So you're giving him a 10?
Yeah.
So for the first time in the Horden history, we have a mutual 10 antagonist.
Yeah.
That even beat out
awesome.
Jason in Friday the 13th. Moving on to humor. This is not necessarily a funny miniseries, in my opinion. There are jokes spread throughout. Zombie Cat, I'm going to let you take the first scoring just because I'm still undecided.
I'll just give it a 4 because there's moments in every episode I chuckled like maybe 2 or 3 times. So for that alone, it's like, yeah, I get a decent laugh here and there. So
okay, I think I'm gonna give it a 3 for the same reasons. Because like I don't remember laughing like you did.
yeah,
But yeah, 3 and a 4. That gives us an average of 3.5. So that's not too bad. It doesn't take away, from the story.
it fits into what's going on.
It feels very natural, like a natural humor that would happen in such a time of crisis. Moving on to scariness, I'm a stickler, like always. This wasn't scary to me.
No, this isn't necessarily a typical scary.
I don't even think that in the nature of a thriller, it was scary. I just think it was interesting. Like I was just on the edge of my seat because I was interested in what was going to happen.
It's definitely horror, but it's not built to be like, it's rated PG. If that says something.
It's not a scare your pants off. I would show this to my kids without worrying about them having total nightmares. I mean, they'll probably be scared of Linoge.
Yeah.
But like, it's like ooh versus ah. For that reason, I'm giving it a 3 for scariness.
I'll give it a 4 just because the suspense sometimes can be really good. Yeah. And like some of the shots, especially in like episode 1, or I can't remember if it was 1 or 2 of him like sitting in the prison with his eyes blackened out and red, and you're still just clueless who this dude is. That's pretty scary. But yeah, nothing like, it's not going to keep you up at night. This is something pretty much anybody could watch, really.
So you gave it a 4. I gave it a 3. That's 3.5 for scariness. All right. Last but certainly not least, we have experience. How we felt about the miniseries as a whole. Zombie Cat.
As a whole, I think this is the best Stephen King miniseries. I don't even think that's a controversial opinion. It's like Tim Curry, I love, but outside of
I think also Salem's Lot was originally a made-for-TV miniseries.
I'm not sure. I know there was a Carrie one.
Damn, I didn't know there was a Carrie one.
But I can easily say this is the best one. I think most people would agree if they watched it. I'm going to give it a 9, like just a very, very solid 9. It's not perfect because there's maybe here and there issues, but it's nothing crazy, but it gets a very solid, badass 9. It's so good.
I agree with you. I'm also give it a 9. I was teetering between an 8 and a 10, so let's go right up the middle for 9. So that is a 9 overall for experience. All right, guys. Well, that was our first ever multiple part series over like a movie. I hope you check out Storm of the Century. I hope you enjoyed our review. If you like what we're doing here, please make sure you leave a like. And if you haven't already, please subscribe if you like what we're doing here at the channel and recommend us to your friends. We have a lot of plans leading forward in 2025. Hopefully we'll be covering our first full iconic series once we hit 500 subs. We are going to be covering the next movie we're going to be covering is As Above So Below, as voted on by you the viewer. Originally it was on the poll between
it got the second most votes.
Got second most votes on the Brightburn poll when we did our 200 sub with Brightburn, and actually it was ahead of it after.
I think it tied. I don't think
no. As Above So Below went above Brightburn after we had already closed the poll and recorded the episode.
Yeah.
And so
I do think over time, though, Brightburn still
has gotten back
Yeah.
up. But in honor of that, we are going to go ahead and cover it. So
Plus, I just want to rewatch the movie.
yeah, it's a great movie.
It's awesome.
But anyway, guys, so we have some last minute wrap up things. Plugging our Instagram, as you've seen in the little the rotating bar that Smite Lad came up with. If you want to head over to at the Horror Den on Instagram, give us a follow. See, keep up to date on all of our real world shenanigans. Hopefully, we'll be going to see some movies live again this year. Select ones, because those videos didn't really seem to do that well. But if you would like to see us do something in the future, please just let us know. Yeah. And also, we have a Patreon.
Yeah, you can sub to our Patreon for as low as $5 a month to have your name put up at the end of all of our videos. We're getting very close to getting our first capture card, so we can start posting some gaming stuff on the channel. So that's that's gonna be a lot of fun.
I am excited about the stuff. I'm not excited about what I'm gonna have to do.
But yeah, so all support helps. Once again, the reason our videos have been so scattered is mainly work, just so much holiday work. And
a lot of personal stuff.
It's been hectic.
Let's just say that the end of 2024 could not come fast enough.
Yeah, it was a hectic ending of the year. It was a great end of the year. Hope everybody had a great holiday season.
Yeah.
And good new year. So, but I guess that's it.
Well, we hope that you're having a good beginning to your 2025. Hope you check out some good horror movies. If you have anything you want us to cover, just let us know down in the comments below. Sub to our Patreon. Go follow us on Instagram if you want to. Leave a like and subscribe. But more importantly than anything else, stay spooky out there.